Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy. I want to welcome you to Facebook Live, A Course in Miracles. And it's my pleasure to be here starting off this brand new year. We're going to talk about the new beginning. This time of the year, everybody is ready to make some kind of a fresh start. So I'm going to be covering the parts of A Course in Miracles that deals with the new beginning. So ask yourself, are you ready for this year to be different? Are you ready for your life to change? Are you ready for some things to go in a brand new direction? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Thanks for joining me. I know it's a holiday. And some of y'all might be barely alive right now from last night. So we're going to start out the new year with forgiveness. Forgive yourself for everything you might have done at a party last night. But we're going to talk about the new beginning. It's going to be on page 625 in the Course in Miracles text. Page 625 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. Are you ready for a new beginning? Are you ready for a new start? Well, we want to remember the guidelines to the Course, the rules. These are the only guidelines to study the Course in Miracles. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to remember that these are the attitudes that you need to have if you want to get the most out of this material. So what are those attitudes? The first thing you need to remember is that you need not believe the ideas. Nobody's trying to convert you. You don't have to believe these ideas. You don't have to accept these ideas. You don't have to even welcome these ideas. Some of these ideas you may actively resist. Some of these ideas you may actively resist. Some of these ideas may startle you. So remember that I said that. Some of the stuff I say may startle you. You may resist some of the ideas that you hear. Nobody's asking you to judge and analyze the ideas. No one's asking you to judge and analyze the ideas. I'm not going to analyze the ideas. I'm not going to analyze the ideas. I'm Earl Purdy. I call myself the Divine Repetition, the Remembering Coach. I've been teaching and learning A Course in Miracles for over 40 years. So I am familiar with the material, all right? So you're not talking to somebody who's not familiar with the material. If you're new to the material, I'd like for you just a minute to maybe consider the idea that I may know more about what the Course in Miracles says than you do. The reason why I'm saying that is so that you can save yourself some time. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to save you time. So if you want to make a new beginning, what does that mean? Well, it means that if you use the ideas, that's how you will find out that the ideas are true. The only way you'll know for sure that the ideas from A Course in Miracles are true is to use the ideas. And when I say use the ideas, it means simply be willing to see things another way. Be willing to say, just for a minute, I'm going to look at something and I'm going to let myself hear something that's different, maybe different from what I believe. So the new beginning is going to be the focus. Do you know what's going to be the focus of the curriculum? The focus of the curriculum is going to be what? A new beginning. So what is the goal? I teach in a question-answer format. What is the goal? A new beginning. What is the goal? Your goal is peace. Your goal is peace. Your goal is to have complete peace. Your goal is to have total fulfillment. Your goal is to have happiness, love, prosperity, freedom, abundance. Is that something that you'd like to have?
Yes.
Okay. So that means now the goal is clear. So we're clear about the goal. So the Course says, so what do you need? You need specific methods for attaining the goal. I want peace. I need, well, how in the heck do I do it? How do I have peace? If you have Course in Miracles books and you're able to get to your Course in Miracles book, please start using your books as much as possible when you watch one of my classes, because my goal is to make myself ultimately unnecessary. The goal of a good teacher is to motivate, You can't change anybody. Do you know what you can do? You can motivate a person to want to change themselves, but you can't change anybody. So a good teacher is a good motivator. A good parent is a good motivator. A great leader is a great motivator. So if you want to really help the people that you know, then you need to be a great motivator. So the speed by which the goal can be reached. How fast can you reach this goal of peace? Well, it depends on one thing. It depends on your willingness to practice every step. How fast you achieve the peace and happiness that this book is talking about depends on how much you're willing to practice what it's telling you to practice. How fast you reach your goal in any area of your life depends on how much you're willing to practice every step to achieving that goal. You can't simply sit back and wish for something and then expect that it's going to show up when you're not practicing the specific steps necessary to achieve the goal. So stop looking for a way for your life to change without you doing anything. Okay, let that go. That somehow or another, your life is just going to spontaneously become the greatest, most fun, satisfying thing in the world, but you are not changing one single thing about yourself. You know why? Because you're going to be tempted to believe that your happiness depends on changing everybody around you and getting everybody around you to be the way you want them to be in order for you to be happy. Absolutely, every time you practice one of these steps, what is going to happen? It's going to help a little. Every time you attempt these steps, it's going to help a little. And so what is practicing these steps going to do? Well, the Course says, together, these steps will lead you from dreams of judgment to forgiving dreams. What does that mean? If you practice these steps will lead you out of pain. If you practice these steps will lead you, I like that. These steps will lead you out of pain. It will lead you out of fear. Now, these steps are not really new, but the problem is they're not rules of thought yet. What is a habit? A habit is a rule of thought. A habit is something that rules your thinking. It's a way of thinking that rules your mind that you use all the time. We call them patterns sometimes. We call it conditioning. Sometimes your patterns and your conditioning, it takes over, and before you know it, you're acting out of old habits, old conditions, and old patterns. They have become habits. You become so used to handling your life in a certain way that now it's just part of your conditioning, and you do it without even consciously thinking of it. So we're trying to get to the point that you are sane as a habit, that you are loving as a habit, that you're a peaceful person, and that's just your habit. So we're trying to make loving thoughts, peaceful thoughts, what? Your habits. So we need to practice these steps for a while. So how long should you practice these steps that the Course in Miracles is giving you? I'll tell you how long you should practice these steps that the Course in Miracles is giving you. Until these steps become the rules that you live by. Until you are actually doing these steps in order to give yourself peace. How much should you practice? Until you're doing it. I practiced playing saxophone until I knew how to play saxophone. As a saxophone player, that's what you do. First you learn the fingering, and then you have to keep practicing until you can press the right keys to produce the right note without thinking about it. It's become just a rule of habit. So if someone told me to play a D note, I knew automatically what parts of my saxophone to press to do that. That's where you want your sanity to be. That's the way you want your right thinking to be. You want to get to the point that it's just the way you live. It's just the way you are. So we're going to try to make sane thinking habits now. So why do you want to make something a habit? So that you will have it ready whenever you need it. If I make correct thinking a regular habit, then I've got it available to me whenever I need it. When you study the Course in Miracles, those of you who are just starting, the Course in Miracles reads as if you don't understand and you may not understand what it's talking about. So it explains everything it's saying as it goes along. That's why you don't have to sit back and try to analyze it. Because usually when a person says they're analyzing the Course, they're trying to fit the Course into the way they already think. They're trying to fit the Course into their own belief system. And I'm going to tell you, if you do that, it's going to drive you nuts. Because the Course in Miracles teaches many things that are just the opposite from the programming and conditioning that we've been taught in the world. That's why it works. Because it's opposite to everything that the world teaches. Because we already see the result of what the world teaches. It's the chaotic world and the fearful, divisive world that we perceive right now. That's coming from the way we think in the world. So if we want to get out of what we're going through in the world, it's obviously we're going to have to think different from the way the average person thinks. So what are the rules for decision? If you got to make decisions, what will be the rules for decisions? Number one, what do you need to remember? You need to remember that you're continually making decisions. That means you don't always know when you're making decisions. You don't always know when you're making decisions. You don't always know when you're making decisions. You're making decisions all the time that you don't even realize you're making. So if you start to practice with the decisions you recognize, then a set begins to form that will see you through the rest of the decisions that you have to make. So what we're going to do right now is we're gonna see how you should approach all decisions. So what does that mean? Well, the first thing you need to do is not let yourself be preoccupied with every step you take. So don't be preoccupied with every step you take. Don't get preoccupied with the steps. Don't become preoccupied with the steps. So what should you do if you don't want to become preoccupied with the steps? Well, what you should do if you don't want to become preoccupied with the steps is to have the proper approach that you consciously adopt every time you wake up. That's what's going to put you ahead. So if you get up in the morning and you start out in the morning with the right attitude and with the right perception, then that's going to put you way ahead. So the first thing in the morning, if you wake up and you realize what I'm about to tell you, it's going to put you way ahead all day long as far as your what? Your peace is concerned, okay? So now how can you tell if you are ready to do this? How can you tell if you're ready to do anything? Well, first of all, if you find that your resistance is very strong, if you have very strong resistance to this, if you have very strong resistance to this, if you have very weak dedication, you're not ready. So how can you tell when you're not ready for something? You are resisting the hell out of it, and you are not dedicated to doing it at all. So whatever it is you say you want to accomplish, and you find you are not dedicated to actually doing it at all, then you are not ready. You're not ready to do something that you're not dedicated to doing. You're not ready to do something that you are fighting and resisting. How can you tell if you really want to be in that relationship? You're not resisting it. And you are dedicated to the sanity and the peace of that relationship. How can you tell when you're ready for anything? You have dedication that is strong and you have very little resistance. So when you have very little resistance and your dedication is strong, you are ready. If your dedication is weak and your resistance is strong, you are not ready. Don't fight yourself. Do not fight yourself. If your dedication is weak and your resistance is strong, you're not ready right now. So don't fight yourself. But this is what you should do. If you're ready, first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about the kind of day you want. Think about the kind of day you want. What kind of day do you want to have? What kind of year do you want to have? And then tell yourself, think about what you want, then tell yourself there's a way in which the very day can happen just the way you want it. So what should I do? Tell myself what I want, and then tell myself there's a way for me to have it. Tell yourself what you want, think about what you want, think about what you want, tell yourself there's a way in which you can have it. How? Just like that. Or you can say, there's a way that you can have it, just like that. It just depends on the emphasis that you put on the words, right? So think about the kind of day you want, tell yourself you can have it just like that, or tell yourself you can have it just like that. Yeah. Okay? So then after you tell yourself what you want, then you tell yourself you can have it, then try again to have the kind of day you want. Okay, how do you do that? There's nothing that I'm going to present to you that you're continuing to read will not answer. You do not have to analyze a Course in Miracles. Stop analyzing Course in Miracles, students. The Course says if you analyze the Course, it will destroy the meaning of the material. Your analyzation does not help you achieve the goal of the Course in Miracles the way it teaches. I want you to understand it. I've done this many years. Course in Miracles students, especially new ones, they waste so much time trying to understand it and thinking that their understanding is what makes it true. Your understanding is not a powerful contribution to the truth. Your understanding is not a powerful contribution to the truth. Your understanding does not make the truth true. Your understanding has nothing to do with the truth of something. I'm Earl Purdy, whether you understand that or not. Your understanding doesn't have anything to do with me being Earl Purdy. Your understanding does not contribute to me being Earl Purdy at all. And do you know that is true about everything? So what do? You're going to say, first of all, you're going to tell yourself what you want. You want to tell yourself there's a way for you to have it, just like that. Then you're going to tell yourself, today I will make no decisions by myself. Today I will make no decisions by myself. That's the first thing. So what does it mean to say you will make no decisions by yourself? It means you're choosing not to be the judge of what to do. That's interesting. First it tells you to tell yourself the kind of day you want, and then the Course turns around and tells you to tell yourself there's a way that you can have it. Then it turns around and tells you that you are not to choose to be the judge of what you do. That means you will not judge the situations where you are called upon to make response. So if you judge how you should respond, then you're going to set up the rules to how you should react. What? I'll say it again. If you decide what's going to make you happy, then you're going to also decide how you should go about making yourself happy. In other words, if you judge the situations where you will be called upon to make a response, then you're going to set the rules to how you should react to it. So the first thing you should do if you want to have the kind of day you want is to choose not to make any decisions by yourself. And I'm going to explain that even more. Because if you come up with the way for you to have what you want, if you come up with the way for you to have what you want, then when somebody gives you another answer that's different from the way you've decided, if you decided that your happiness is in the kitchen, and I tell you your happiness is really in the bedroom, then that's going to produce confusion and uncertainty and fear because you've already made up your mind that the happiness is in the kitchen. So as soon as you make up what you want and then you decide how you're going to have it, even if it's not the right way to have it, as soon as somebody gives you the right way to have it, then you are going to feel confused and uncertain and afraid. All right. Okay. Do you know what your major problem is? Your major problem is you still make up your mind and then decide to ask what you should do. First you make up your mind, then you ask the higher power what to do. First you decide what you want and how you want it, then you decide what you should do. See, I decided that this person is the right person for me to be in a relationship with. Okay, I just made that decision. I didn't ask Spirit if this was the right person for me to be in a relationship with. I didn't ask Love, Higher Power, if this was the right person for me to be in a relationship with. First, I came up with what was going to make me happy. Then I asked Spirit what I should do to have it the way I want it. I decided I want you. Now I'm asking how I can get you the way I want you. See, in other words, I have made up my mind, and then I've decided to ask what to do. And guess what will happen sometimes? What will happen sometimes is that what you hear from Holy Spirit, what you hear from your inner guidance may not resolve the problem the way you saw it at first. So you want something, I tell you the real way to have it, and you may have decided that it should come to you another way. So this leads to fear, because what you're hearing contradicts what you perceive. What you hear is contradicting what you've decided, and so you feel attacked. I've already decided that my happiness isn't owning a house, and I just learned that my happiness isn't changing my mind. Now I feel upset because what I'm hearing contradicts what I've decided is going to make me happy. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Once I've made up my mind what it is going to make me happy, and then how to get it, then if Spirit contradicts that, then the person feels attacked and therefore angry. So there are ways for you not to become angry. There are ways for this not to happen. But do you know a very important thing to remember is that getting angry and confused does happen at first. I'll say it again. Yeah. When you're first learning how to listen to your higher self, when you're first learning how to listen to Spirit, you're going to be hearing things that's the opposite to what you believe and opposite to what you've decided. So that's going to make you feel fear sometimes and disoriented and angry and upset. It's going to happen while you're learning how to finally listen to yourself. So understand that. While you're learning to listen to your guidance, sometimes you're going to feel what? Angry, attacked, uncertain, confused, and afraid. So confusion is a very high state. Really. Because confusion means that you've been willing to let go of an old way of looking at things, but you haven't completely embraced the new way yet. So when you are confused, when you're learning, that's natural. Feeling frustrated or angry sometimes when you're learning is natural. Stop being one of those truth students that think on the way to having everlasting peace, you're going to have everlasting peace all the time.
Right.
That's what, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're trying to get to happiness, but we think we got to be happy every step of getting to happiness. Well, you are already happy and can be happy at every step going to happiness. You're already there. Mm-hmm. There's no need for you to be studying. So the fact that you think you're going to change your life and make a brand new beginning, but you're going to do that with no disorientation and confusion, you're fooling yourself. You're kidding yourself. That's not the way it's going to happen. So I'll say it again. So what should you do? Well, all throughout the day, anytime you think of it, anytime you have a quiet moment for reflection, I want you to tell yourself again. Notice the Course in Miracles is doing what? The Course in Miracles is giving us very specific instructions. You cannot say only in this class today that I have not and I am not giving you very specific instructions from the Course. I'm giving you very specific instructions. Like what? First of all, realizing that if your dedication is weak and your resistance is strong, you're not ready yet. If you are ready, tell yourself what you want and then tell yourself there's a way for you to have it. Then tell yourself, if I make no decisions by myself, if I make no decisions without my spiritual self, my true self, my real self, if I make no decisions, I'm not going to make any decisions without checking in. I'm not going to make any decisions without love and truth and my higher self. The Course says if you've already made up your mind how you think everything is supposed to happen to make you happy, and Spirit does give you an answer as to how to really be happy, it may contradict what you've already decided, so you're going to feel attacked and angry and disoriented because you've decided it's one way, and the Spirit and truth is teaching you that it will come to you another way. What is the other thing we heard? You make up your mind, then you go to God. You tell yourself what it is you think is best for you, then you ask the universe to help you get it the way you decided that you should have it. And that's probably not the way for you to have what you want, right? Because if you're being able to choose and decide what's the key to making you happy, you'd already be happy. So the first thing you got to do is chunk your advice if you're unhappy. Okay, I got to remember that, right? Then the Course in Miracles says, now what I want you to do is what you guys do all the time anyway. All during the day, all day long, you're probably telling yourself the kind of day you want. You're probably telling yourself the feelings you want to have. You're probably telling yourself the things you want to happen to you. You're telling yourself the things you want to experience. I love how the Course in Miracles asks us to do stuff that we're already doing anyway. The average person is already telling themselves what they want to experience every day, all day. That's what we do all the time. Come up with something that we think we want, that we think is going to make us happy. And the Course is just saying that. Tell yourself the kind of feelings you want to have. Well, the kind of feelings I want to have is happy feelings, peaceful feelings, loving feelings. What are the things you want to happen to you? I want happy things, peaceful things, loving things to happen to me. What is it you want to experience? Happy things, peaceful things, loving things. Notice it didn't change. Because what I want is that content. I want the content of love and peace and happiness in my life. It used to be when people would ask me what I wanted, I would start naming material and physical things that I'd like to have. I would mention money, or I'd mention car, I'd mention a better body, I'd mention a career. Now I understand that all those things are neutral. All those things are neutral. They cannot make you happy. Those things can be a means for you to give yourself happiness, but they in and of themselves cannot make you happy. So you can ask for a relationship and then catch hell in that relationship. Or you can ask for a relationship and it be the best thing that's ever happened to you. That you want the content. Right. When you start to wake up, what you start asking for is, I don't care what kind of experiences I have today. I just want them to be happy, good ones, and peaceful, and loving ones. That I can ask for a car that's not going to guarantee I'm going to have a happy day. So I can ask for a happy day, and I'd have a happy day even driving my car. See, the ones I'm happy, then it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I go to the movie, I'll be happy. If I'm in my house, I'll be happy. Because the content is what's important more than the form of what you want. Now, it takes a lot of spiritual maturity to get to the point that you recognize that. Because people who are not yet awake always thinks that it's a theme and a script that they are making up that's going to make them happy. So if you make no decisions by yourself, tell yourself, if I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. If I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. If I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. So if you tell yourself what you want, tell yourself that if you make no decisions by yourself, this is the day that will be given you. If you practice these two procedures, what two procedures? Telling yourself what you want and then telling yourself, if I don't try to do this by myself, I can have this peace. Okay? So why is it that you want to tell yourself if you make no decisions without getting guidance, this will be the day you will have? Well, the Course in Miracles says, well, because first of all, if you are open to not trying to do this by yourself, this will let you be directed without fear. If you're willing to let yourself be guided, then you'll stop being afraid of your guidance. And so your opposition won't first arise, and your opposition becomes a problem too. See, first I got the problem of getting the thing that I think I want. Now I'm fighting the way to get it. So now I've made two problems for myself. The problem of how to get what I want and the problem of me getting over all of my resistance and fighting it all the time. And that's what we tend to deal with people. They go, I want to get off of drugs, but then I'm fighting everything that you're telling me I need to do to get off of drugs. So now you got the opposition and the problem of me being in a sane, healthy place. Now I got to deal with the opposition I have to the instructions that I'm getting as to how to have that same healthy place. Don't you see that? That's what people do all the time. They say, I want you to help me. You tell them how to do it, and then their opposition to what you told them now becomes a problem too. So now they got two issues they're dealing with. The issue of having what I want to achieve, and the issue of all the opposition that I have and how I'm fighting myself in order to have it.
Exhausting.
Totally. And we wonder why we're tired.
Right.
Right? Then the Course in Miracles says, but there will be times when you've already judged how you should have it. Now when Spirit gives you a real answer, that's going to provoke attack and anger. So how do you keep yourself from judging already how you should have it? How do you keep yourself from having anger whenever the answer is given to you? Well, you do something with your mind that's a really cool thing to do with your mind. Straighten out your mind. Whenever I hear that statement, I always see an ironing board. And I always see like my mind is these clothes that I'm trying to straighten out. Because the Course in Miracles talks in a very visual way. Notice it said, quickly straighten out your mind to want an answer that will work. So what is straightening out your mind? That's a great question. Well, straightening out your mind is wanting an answer that will work. That is straightening out your mind. When you say, you know what, I want to do it differently from the way that I did it in the past. There's a new way I want to approach my life this year. That is straightening out your mind because you want an answer that will work. That's why I tell people, listen to this and watch this class at least 4 times. It's the repetition and the remembering that is more important than the understanding and the analyzing. What do you mean, Earl? What I mean is, tell yourself what you want, and then tell yourself I will make no decisions by myself. That's an instruction. Tell yourself, if I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. Those are instructions. Be certain that you have already judged if you feel yourself unwilling to sit down and ask to have the answer given to you. If you've already decided what the answer is, do you know you're not going to pause and ask Spirit what the answer is? If you've already made up your mind what the answer is, then you're not going to be willing to ask for guidance. So how can you tell when you're listening to yourself, you don't pause a minute and ask for guidance? That means you've already decided by yourself what the answer is and what's going to make you happy and how to get it. So you don't see the question. What is the question? Ask to have the answer given to you. So you need to have a what? A quick restorative before you ask again. So what is the quick restorative? Then it says it again. I love it about the course. You're going to get it one way or another, because I'm going to keep saying the same thing to you in many different ways until you get it. Remember what? Once again, the day you want. You're unhappy. So recognize that something has occurred that's not part of the day you want. If you're unhappy, then something has happened that's not part of the day you want. If you're an unhappy person right now, then something has happened that's not part of the happiness you want. So if you are unhappy right now, realize that you are asking questions by yourself, and since you're coming up with everything the way you think it should happen, then you must have set an answer in your terms. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, we're encouraged to do that in a lot of teachings. We're actually told, think of what you want and then think of how you should get it. You make up the way you should have it. That's the problem in most relationships. People are constantly expecting their partner to fulfill their needs by acting out all of their conditioning and scripts, and they think that that's going to make them happy if their partner does everything that they think they want them to do in every way to make them happy. So that's the person who has set the answer in their own terms. So when you do something different and it requires something different than what they've decided, then they get upset and they feel angry. I've decided you cooking for me every evening at 6 o'clock is going to make me happy. And that's not really what's going to do it. And if you don't do it, then I get upset because I've already decided what the answer should be in my terms. I like to use regular day-to-day examples and not super metaphysical, deep examples. I try to make it simple to see that you are messing up in the first place as soon as you come up with what you think is going to make you happy, and it depends on what somebody else does in the first place. As soon as you go, if they were different, I'd be happy, then you automatically gone into a system of thinking that's going to fail to bring you any kind of lasting joy.
That's right.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And why would I want to set my life up where somebody else's actions determine how happy I am anyway? But we see it all the time, don't we? We just watch people. They're always upset because somebody's not doing what they want them to do the way they want them to do it. That's all the reason why everybody's so angry and upset and divided and separated right now in this world. Is everybody's got scripts for everybody else, and they're thinking that everybody else isn't acting out their script, so everybody's mad. So if you're mad, then that means you've asked a question by yourself. That means you must have set the answer in your terms. Next specific instruction is what? I have no question. Say. Notice it said, say this. It keeps saying, say this. It didn't say, believe this. It didn't say, accept this. It didn't say, welcome this. It just said, say this. And the hardest part that I've noticed as a teacher with students is to get them to just do what they're told. That's the hardest part. The book just says, whether you believe this or not, whether you welcome it or not, whether you accept it or not, I just want you to say this. Can you friggin' say this? Can you say this even if you don't believe it? Can you say this even if you don't like it? Can you say this no matter what mood you're in this year? Nothing's easier than that. You can't get an easier path than a path that tells you you don't have to believe it at first. So when you say I forgot what to decide, what did I forget to decide? Not to make decisions by myself. Then this cancels the terms you've set. This lets the answer show you what the question must have really been. And you need to do this without delay, despite your what? Opposition. So no matter how much resistance I feel, I'm going to do this because I've already gotten angry. I already feel like I've decided how I should be happy and how this should happen. It's not happening the way I want it to happen. I'm getting an answer that's different from the answer that I made up. I'm upset about that. Why are you upset? He says, because you're afraid of being answered in a different way from what your version of the question asks. I'm afraid the Spirit is going to tell me to do something that's different from what I've decided I want to do. And so that's going to gain momentum, me wanting it the way that I want it to be until what? How can you tell when you really screwed up? The way you can tell when you really screwed up is what? You will want the day to be the day in which you get your answer the way you want your question answered. But it's got to be the way I want it to be, even if the way to have what I want is different from the way I want it to be. Then I'm going to get to the point that I have to get the answer the way that I've decided the answer is, or I get upset about it, but you won't get the answer the way you want the answer if the way you want the answer won't work. So you can't ask higher power, God, Spirit, for the way that works to make you happy, and then insist that the way you think it should happen has to be the way that it happens. Because if you make it up that it's got to happen the way you want it to happen, you're going to actually destroy the day, because the way you want to have it happen will actually rob you of what you really want. Let me give you an example. I say that I want to have a loving relationship. Then I decide who it is that's supposed to give me that loving relationship. When actually I could have a loving relationship maybe better through someone that's entirely different. But I've already decided that it's got to be through you. So I get to the point that I'm telling myself it's got to be through you, and you obviously don't want to give me the love in a relationship because you have a restraining order out on me. So obviously I'm not the one, and you're not the one for me, because your resistance is strong and your dedication is weak, right? So now, but I've decided it's going to be you. So the Spirit is saying to me, no, if you really want a loving relationship, I can't do it the way that you are doing it, because the way that you want it done and through you, who you want it done, is not the way it could come to you. So if I tried to do it the way you want it, you will never get what you want, which is a really loving relationship. So the content, again, is more important than the form. Do you want a loving relationship, or do you just have to have this person, whether this person is loving to you or the right relationship or not? Right? That's what happens a lot, right? A person decides on who they want, whether that person wants them or not, and then they spend all their time trying to seduce that person into wanting them, when the universe could have sent them a person already who's completely compatible with them and also really wants to be with you. This can be very hard to realize. What I'm saying can be very hard to realize when once you have decided by yourself the rules that will promise you a happy day. It can be hard to realize the truth of what I'm saying to you, the ones that you've decided what will make you happy. This decision of you making decisions by yourself, you asking for what you want and then deciding how it should happen without asking Spirit, that decision can be undone. Wow. How? By simple methods. Do you want to have simple methods? Do you want to have simple methods? I want to have simple methods. He says, I'm going to give you simple methods that you can accept. I'm going to give you simple methods that you can accept. I'm going to give you simple methods that you can accept. Would you like simple methods? If you're so unwilling, if you are so unwilling to receive, are you unwilling to receive? If you are so unwilling to receive that you can't even let your question go, you can begin to change your mind. How can you begin to change your mind? How can you begin to change your mind? How can you begin to change your mind? With this. And this is my favorite part. At least I can decide, since I got to decide something, at least I can decide, I don't like the way I feel now. I don't like what I feel now. I don't like what I feel now. I feel anger. I feel depression. I feel anxiety. I feel some fear. I feel some insecurity. I don't like what I'm feeling right now. So when you don't like what you feel right now, what you should say is what? At least I can decide I do not like what I feel now. I don't like what I'm feeling now. When you don't like what you're feeling now, tell yourself, I don't like what I feel now. That much is obvious, that you don't like what you feel now, right? So when you tell yourself, I don't like what I feel now, I don't like what I feel now, that paves the way. There's that picture again. That paves the way. Paves the way for what? It paves the way for the what kind of step? The easy step. Do you want an easy step? Do you want the next easy step? I want the easy steps. Do you want the easy steps to happiness? Well, having decided what? That you don't like the way you feel? I decided I want to run over them. I don't like the way I feel. So what should I do? Well, what could be easier? What could be easier than to continue? What could be easier than to continue with, are you ready? At least I can decide I don't like what I feel now. And so I hope I have been wrong. I don't like the way I feel. So I hope I have been wrong. I'm feeling jealous. I went out last night with my partner and it looked like they was dancing too close to somebody. I don't like the way I feel, and so I hope I am wrong. I think that my father or my mother doesn't appreciate me, doesn't like me. I hope that I'm wrong. I don't like feeling afraid in the world, and I don't like feeling the separation that we all seem to have with each other. So I hope that I am wrong. I don't like the way I'm feeling about myself right now. I don't like the way I feel about myself right now. So I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel about my coworkers right now. And so I hope I am wrong. I don't like the way I feel about God and spiritual awareness and what I learned in my religion and my old way of looking at things. So when you're unhappy, when you don't like how you feel, tell yourself that you hope that you were wrong. So what's the advantage of hoping that you're wrong? That works against your opposition. When you say you hope you're wrong, that works against your resistance. When you hope that you're wrong, it's going to remind you. So what is it that hoping you're wrong is going to remind you of? If you hope that you're wrong when you don't like the way you feel, if you hope that you're wrong whenever you're angry, then you realize that help is not being thrust upon you, that nobody's forcing the help upon you. You will realize that help is something you want, that help is something you need. Why is it that you want help? Why is it that help is something that you need? Because you don't like the way you feel. And if you don't like the way you feel, there are two things you need. You need help. You have to want help and need help. You have to want help and need help. Do you want help and need help? And if you want help and you need help, that's because you don't like the way you feel. What kind of opening is this? This is a tiny opening. But that tiny opening will be enough for what? That tiny opening of you saying you don't like what you feel and you hope you are wrong, that's going to be enough. That's going to be enough to let you do what? You can go ahead just a few more steps. When you say, I don't like how I feel, and so I hope I'm wrong, then you can go toward what you want with a few more steps. A few more steps that's gonna help do what? These few more steps are going to help you let yourself be helped. So what is the purpose of A Course in Miracles? The purpose of A Course in Miracles is it's teaching you how to let yourself be helped. The Course in Miracles is not about something else that you have to do for yourself, by yourself. The Course in Miracles is not asking you to do everything for yourself and by yourself. It's trying to teach you how to let the universe, spirit, God, love help you. Well, so when you're at the point that you're willing to let yourself be helped because you recognize you don't like the way you feel, so you hope you're wrong, that means you reached the turning point. What is the turning point? The turning point will be when you realize that you will benefit, you will gain, if what you've decided is not true. If what you've decided is not true, if you decided that you can't have peace, you can't have joy, if you decided that you are telling yourself something that makes you upset and keeps you sad, and it's giving you feelings that you don't like, if you get to the point that you realize that you would benefit if you were wrong. If you think you can never be happy, if you think you can never be abundant, if you think you can never have joy, then it would be to your advantage if you were wrong. Until you realize when you're unhappy that it's to your advantage to be wrong, you will still believe that your happiness depends on being right. You got to let go of the idea that your happiness depends on being right. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Do you want to choose your happiness over your programming? Are you willing to choose happiness over programming? Are you willing to choose love and happiness over your programming? This much reason you have attained now. What is the reason that you have attained now? The reason that you have attained now, is what? I would be better off if I'm wrong. If I feel miserable and I don't like the way I feel, I would be better off if I'm wrong. If I think I can't be loved, if I think I can't have peace, if I think I can't have friendships and success and happiness and connection to my source, if I believe that about myself, I would be better off if I was wrong. That was dramatic.
That was channel drama.
So how much wisdom is that? The Course in Miracles says, that's not what you're capable of right now, a tiny grain. Can y'all handle a tiny grain of wisdom? Well, a tiny grain of wisdom will take you further. That means you're not coerced. Nobody is coercing you. The truth is merely trying to help you get the thing you want. So if you really want the peace you want, do you notice that the next sentence says what? And you can say in perfect honesty. The Course in Miracles teaches that perfect means complete and that honesty means consistency. So you have to say this with complete consistency. It's consistency that's honesty. And what is it that you need to say with perfect consistency? I want another way to look at this. I want another way to look at this. Now, when you tell yourself that you want another way to look at them, or you want another way to look at this year, or you want another way to look at a situation, then you know you have changed your mind. When you're ready to get off your position and say that you hope you're wrong because you want another way to look at this, that's how you know you've changed your mind about today. That means that you have remembered what you really want. That means the purpose of the day has no longer been hidden by your insane belief that you want this day for the goal of being right, even when you're wrong. Most people, all day long, they want to be right no matter what. Even when they are wrong, they want to be right. So the Course in Miracles says a wrong-minded person gets up in the morning and they just want to be right all day, even when they're wrong. And so if you no longer want to be right, even when you're wrong, if you want to be wrong when you're telling yourself something negative, then that means the readiness for asking has been brought to your awareness. That means that you can't be in conflict. How is it that you can get out of conflict? Well, you can't be in conflict when you ask for what you want and realize that you're asking for what you want. If I'm asking for ice cream and I realize I really want ice cream, then I'm not in any conflict. So when you're in conflict, it means that you're not asking for what you want. It means that you're asking for something, but you don't even see that you're really asking for it. Conflict comes from you not knowing what you want and seeing what you're asking for. So what is the last step? I'm moving fast because I want to make sure I get all this in one class so you can listen back to this over and over again because you can apply it to anything. I'm not giving you time enough to analyze what I'm saying. And that's why some of you may be frustrated because I don't stop and entertain the analyzation part of your mind. Yes, but, what about this? But what about that? What about this? No. This is what you do. You tell yourself, I want another way to look at this. That means you change your mind. That means you remember what you really want is your peace. that means that you are not insisting that it comes the way that you want it to come necessarily. You just want it to come. So you can't be in conflict when you ask for what you want and you see that you're asking for what you want. So what is this last step? This last step is an acknowledgement of your lack of opposition to be helped. I'm no longer opposing God. I'm no longer opposing my help. I'm no longer opposing the course. I'm no longer opposing the answer. So when you say you want another way to look at it, it's a statement. It's a statement of what? Of an open mind. What is an open mind? An open mind is a mind that has doubt, a mind that's not certain, but a mind that's willing to be shown. I'm not sure and certain about what you're talking about from the Course in Miracles, Earl, but I'm willing to be shown. That's what an open mind. If I have an open mind about you, I might have some doubts, but I'm willing to be shown another way to look at you. That means I have an open mind. So perhaps there's another way to look at this. What can I lose by asking? Perhaps there's another way to look at this. What can I lose by asking? Perhaps there's another way to look at this situation. What can I lose by asking? Perhaps there's another way to look at this relationship. What can I lose by asking? Perhaps there's another way to look at this circumstance. What can I lose by asking? So now you can ask a question that makes sense. So if you ask a question that makes sense, guess what? The answer is going to make sense. And you also are not going to fight against the answer. What is it that keeps a person from fighting against an answer? What is it that keeps you from fighting the answer? If you see that you're going to be helped by the answer. As soon as you see that the answer is going to help you, you'll stop fighting it. My tire is flat. The answer is for me to use a jack to change the tire. But I'm not going to fight the person that's trying to get the jack out of the trunk to change my tire, because I realize that I'm going to be helped if he takes the jack out of the trunk and changes my tire. So you never fight an answer that you believe is truly going to help you, right, and you see it's truly going to help you. So you fight things that you don't see is really going to help you. So if you fight in the Course, you still don't believe that the Course in Miracles has something that's going to help you. So, what will happen? If you really want to have a happy day, what's the easiest way to have a happy day? You prevent unhappiness from entering your day in the first place. So the easiest way to have a happy day is to prevent unhappiness from entering your day in the first place. What is the easiest way to have a happy day, Earl? If I can prevent myself from going crazy in the first place and acting crazy in the first place.
That's right.
So when you have done this, it's going to protect you from fear. When you are willing to say, perhaps there's another way to look at this, what can I lose by asking? That's going to help you get rid of your judgment. It's going to be undone. But in the meanwhile, what do you need? Well, in the meanwhile, you need to practice the rules for undoing your old way of looking at things, your fearful way of looking at things. So notice, again, the Course in Miracles is about to give a quick review of everything it's just said. That is why you don't need to analyze the Course. So let's consider the first decision that we have to make. So how do you begin a happy day? Well, you begin a happy day with the determination not to make any decisions and choices by yourself without checking in with Spirit, the truth. That's number one. Now, your being determined not to make decisions by yourself seems like that's a big decision. But you decide not to make decisions is a decision, a big decision. But remember, what does it mean when it say you can't make decisions by yourself? Well, you can't. The only question is with what you're going to choose to make your decisions with. Who are you going to make your decisions with? That's really all you're deciding. See, the first rule is that you can't make decisions by yourself. You're never going to make a decision by yourself no matter what you decide. I say it again, you will not make decisions by yourself no matter what you decide. Because you're either going to make decisions with love or you're going to make decisions with fear. You're either going to make decisions with the truth or you're going to make decisions with what is not true. You're either going to make decisions with idols or you're going to make decisions with God. You're going to make decisions with false ideas or you're going to make decisions with true ideas. You're either going to ask help of the Antichrist, which is fear, or the Christ, which is love. Which you choose, whatever voice you choose, that voice is going to join with you. Whatever voice you choose, that voice is going to tell you what to do. So all day long, you're listening to one or two voices in you. You're listening to the voice of love or the voice of fear. You're listening to the voice of innocence or the voice of guilt. You're listening to the voice of abundance or you're listening to the voice of lack. You're always listening to two voices all day long. And whatever voice that you join with, that's the voice that's going to tell you what to do. So that means your day is not an accident. Your day is not at random. Your day is being set by who you choose to live your day with. Your day is happening according to the friend whose counsel that you are listening to perceives your happiness. You're either trying to be happy according to what the world teaches you, or you're trying to be happy according to what truth and spirit teaches you. You always ask for advice. You always ask for advice before you can decide on anything. Anytime you decide on anything, you got two voices you listen to. You have to understand this. If you understand this, you can see that you are not being coerced. You can see that there is no opposition to the idea that you are free. You are free to do what? You're free to either listen to the voice of the truth in you. You're free to listen to the voice of sanity in you. You're free to listen to the voice of truth in you. Or you're free to listen to your ego. You're free to listen to the voice of anger, guilt, grievances, and separation. So what is it that you don't have no freedom from? You don't have any freedom from what you must do. And what you must do is always make decisions based on the thought system you believe in. Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing that. So if you think there's freedom from what must happen, then you're wrong. You don't have any freedom from listening to your own thought system and letting that thought system determine what you do and how you see things. So it's your thinking that is joining you in any decision you make. That's why you're never making any decisions by yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay? So the second rule is a fact. So if you want something to happen, you and your advisor must do what? Y'all got to agree. You know, if I want peace to be what I experience in my life, then the voice for peace in me, I have to agree with that voice. I have to act on that advice to be peaceful instead of attacking. Before peace instead of attack in my life can happen, I have to go into agreement with the part of me that wants peace before peace can happen. I can't go into agreement with the part of me that wants to be angry and attack and think that I'm not going to experience anger and attack. It's your agreement that permits everything to happen. There's nothing going to happen in your life without some kind of union. Everything happens because of union, whether that's union with the voice for love or union with the voice of fear. Decisions really cause results. Why is it that decisions cause results? Because you don't ever make a decision in isolation. You don't ever make a decision without listening to either the voice in you for truth or the voice in you for fear. Your decisions are made by you and who advises you. And you make those decisions for yourself, and you also make those decisions for the world. Because the way you treat yourself is the way you're going to treat your world. Whatever voice you're listening to, that's the way you're going to treat everybody. So whoever you listen to is going to reinforce your advisor. If I'm listening to my ego, if I'm listening to separation, if I'm listening to anger and guilt and grievances, then that's going to rule the way that I see my world. If I'm focusing in on happiness and peace and joy, then that's going to be my advisor, and that's the way I'm going to deal with my world. So what is the question that I want to ask you? I want to ask you, who's going to be your advisor today? What part of you is going to tell you what to do this year? What part of you is going to guide you through this upcoming year? It just takes two. Who would have happiness this day to promise it to the world? That's why if you're going to form partnerships, if you're going to form relationships, form those relationships with people who will join you in the idea of peace, people who are going to join you in the idea of your innocence and your value. Join with people who see you and recognize you as the beautiful being that you really are. Stop being around people who never validate in the sense of appreciating you and acknowledging you and seeing the real in you and supporting you in who you really are. It just needs two. It just needs two to understand that you can't decide by yourself. It just takes two to guarantee that the joy that you are asking for can be shared. If I'm with you and you're with me and we only want peace with each other and we reinforce the idea of loving each other and being kind with each other and having peace with each other, then we're going to have that kind of day with each other. It's not as complicated as we make it to be. It's complicated because you've already decided and created a script that you think everybody should fulfill in order to make you happy. And then there's a part of the mind that tries to make everybody do the thing that you want them to do in order to make you happy. And so then you've decided for yourself, by yourself, what's going to make you happy. So when Spirit tells you what's going to make you happy is to say the things that I told you to say today, then you're going to oppose that. You're not going to do it. You're going to listen to this class and watch this class and go right out and do things just the way you've already done it before. Because that means that you've already decided how you think your happy day should happen. And so now you don't want to hear this new way because it's different from the way that you've decided. And if you do that, you're guaranteed not to have the kind of permanent happiness that you want to have. So we're down to the last part of this paragraph. I want you to understand the basic law that makes your decisions powerful. I want you to understand the law that gives your decisions all the power you could ever hope for. Understand what? Two are joined. Two are joined. Two are joined before what? Two are joined before there can be a choice, before there can be a decision. So what should this be? This should be your one reminder. What is the one reminder? What is the one reminder that you need to keep in mind if you want to have the day that you want? What is the reminder? What is it that you need to remember if you want to have the kind of day you want? That you must join with your advisor. That you must join with someone else. You must join with the mind of love, the mind of truth. That you don't make any decisions by yourself. You always make your decisions with your belief system. You always make your decisions with your thoughts, with your values. That's your advisor. So, if you keep this in mind, you will have the day that you want. You will have the year that you want. If you will keep what I've just shared with you in mind, you will have the kind of year, the kind of day that you want. And then you can give it to the world. How do you give the day that you want to the world? How do you give the day that you want to the world? I love it. It says, you give the day that you want to the world by having the day that you want for yourself. Every time you let yourself be happy, you're giving happiness to the world. Every time you let yourself be abundant, you're giving abundance to the world. Every time you let yourself have peace, you're bringing peace to the world. So if you want to bring peace to the world, let yourself have some peace. If you want to bring love and happiness to your friends, let yourself have some love and happiness. Stop thinking that you're going to be an unhappy person making someone else happy. Unhappy people are always looking for people that they think they can make happy, but they're not happy themselves. So when you have the day you want, by giving the day you want to yourself, then that means your judgment has been lifted from the world. So you always hear all the time, let go of judgment, let go of judgment, let go of judgment. Okay, well, how do you let go of judgment? You let go of judgment by you making the decision that you are going to have a happy, loving day. As soon as you go, I'm going to have a happy, loving day, you've actually let go of judgment because you've made a decision. And we usually judge to make a decision. But if you say, I am willing to have a happy day, a happy year, that is letting go of judgment. And so as you have received, so much you give. And that's the rules for decision. That's how you have a brand new year. So don't forget to listen to this over and over again, because you're not going to remember everything that I've said. It's highly unlikely that you remember almost nothing that I've said, to be honest. Because it may be so different from your programming and the way that you've been taught and what you believe that you don't practice these simple ideas. But guess what? It's okay. If your resistance is strong, if your dedication is weak.
Is that too?
Yeah. Don't fight yourself. So I'm going to do a quick recap of those statements. That's how I'm going to end this. And if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, I'm a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles. I truly appreciate that. Let me do pass it around for me. You can also use Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, the Cash App. All you need is my email address, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I'm available for one-on-one coaching, mentoring, and counseling. If there's some area of your life that you're absolutely ready to see it differently, you're ready for a change, you reached your limit, you don't want to be right, you want to be happy. I've been working with people for 40 years, and I guarantee you there is nothing you can bring up in a session with me that I cannot answer that from A Course in Miracles perspective. Hear what I'm saying. There's nothing you can ask me that I cannot work that with you from A Course in Miracles perspective. So if you really have reached your limit and you're really willing to say to yourself, perhaps there's another way of looking at this, then have a clarity session with me. You can go to my website, earlpurdy.com. It will give you more details about my one-on-one clarity sessions, and you can self-book a session with me right from my website. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live on the Earl Purdy page. I do hardcore Course in Miracles, especially geared to A Course in Miracles students, but anyone can watch on Facebook Live. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. You can attend the class in person, and you can also watch it online on Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time here in Denver, Colorado at 1555 Race Street. 1555 Race Street, 80206, Denver, Colorado. Join me in person if you like. And Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live. I have hundreds and hundreds of classes on YouTube, on Facebook, and on my website that you can watch for free. I'm only here to be truly helpful. I'm here for those. I've spent 40 years of my life being dedicated to this material and being a messenger of A Course in Miracles. Take advantage of me. Take advantage of me and save yourself some time. Take advantage of me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be used. Have you noticed how a car you don't use becomes rusted and hard to drive? Let people use you. You need to let people use you for love, use you for truth. So here we go. I think I covered what I want to cover. So here are the 5 steps. And it take about 2 minutes. And then we can run out into our new year and see if our conditioning or the truth wins. Today, you will make no decisions by yourself. This year, you will make no decisions by yourself. This year, you will make no decisions by yourself because you're going to be listening to either the voice of God or the voice of your ego. You're going to either be listening to your past programming and conditioning or the truth that you're studying right now. Tell yourself the kind of day you want. Tell yourself if you make no decisions by yourself, this is the day that you will have. And if you find yourself getting upset and it looks like you're not having the kind of day you want to have, tell yourself, I have no question. I forgot what to decide. I forgot to decide not to make any decisions without the truth. I say it this way, that if the Course in Miracles is my spiritual path, then I'm going to make decisions with the interpretations that the Course in Miracles is giving me. Whatever your spiritual path may be, this applies even if your spiritual path is not a Course in Miracles. The same rule applies. Here's the place where I start the most. I always start out with when I'm upset. I go, at least I can decide I don't like what I feel now. I don't like this pain that I feel now. I don't like this upset that I'm feeling right now. So tell yourself, at least I can decide I don't like what I feel now. But the most important thing to say right after that is what? And so I hope I have been wrong. See, when I'm really upset and sad and angry, I get in a corner sometimes and I go, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about what I'm telling myself right now. I feel unhappy. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be right and miserable. I don't want to be miserable and telling myself that I'm right. So what should you say after you say, and so I hope I have been wrong? You say, I want another way to look at this. I want another way to look at this. At least I can decide I don't like what I feel right now, and so I hope I'm wrong and I want another way to look at this. At least I can decide I don't like what I feel right now, and so I hope I have been wrong. I hope I have been wrong. I want another way to look at this. Then you say, what next? You say next, perhaps there is another way to look at this. Perhaps there is another way to look at them. Perhaps there is another way of looking at this circumstance. Perhaps there is another way of looking at this situation that I'm in right now. What can I lose by asking for another way to look at it? And let me give you an extra little tip. When you hear that statement, I want another way to look at it, it doesn't mean that you are the one to come up with the new way of looking at it. Please don't think that it's telling you to sit down and come up with another. I just gave you another way to look at it. A Course in Miracles or any wisdom text is giving you the other way to look at it. You do not have to make another way of looking at it up. If you're a Course student, the other way of looking at it is in the text. It's in the workbook section of the book. It's in the manual for teachers section of the book. This book is absolutely full of other ways to look at the situation. And brothers and sisters, going into this brand new year, you have just heard how to have a brand new beginning. Look at it over and over. So let's take 30 seconds to breathe. I want another way to look at this year. I want another way to look at this year. You want another way. You want another way. You want another way of looking at this. At least you can decide, that you do not like the way you are feeling right now. If you don't like the way that you are feeling right now, tell yourself, and so I hope I have been wrong, and so I hope I have been wrong, and so you hope you have been wrong. In the area of your life that you're feeling the most frustration, or you have the most worry, tell yourself, I hope I'm wrong about this. I hope I'm wrong about you. I hope I'm wrong about my childhood. I hope that I'm wrong about anything that I'm telling myself that keeps me from being happy. So do you want another way of looking at this? Do you want another way of looking at this? The Course in Miracles. Any wisdom, true wisdom text is giving you another way to look at it. Mighty companions, we're in a brand new game starting today. It's January 1st, 2023. But guess what? What I just said just as much applies January 1st, 2024, and January 1st, 2025, and on every day of this year. This is true, all of it. You deserve to be happy. God's will for you, love's will for you, your Creator's will for you is perfect happiness. Appreciate y'all, mighty companions. I'll see you the next time I see you. Give it up for you. Happy New Year.